Hi, everyone. Welcome to Creative Spirit. And today we have some amazing work to look at. And this is where we explore the creative muse in all of us. So I'd like to just introduce Debra Joy Hart. And I have to say, I've known Debra for maybe 5 years or so. And I don't know anything about her growth and evolution and this part of her life. I know she's been creative. I know she does things in the community that are creative, and she goes to shows, and people love her work. But I'd really like to hear the story behind all this. So, welcome, Debra. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Hi, Trudy. Thank you for having me. I don't get a chance really to talk about my work very often. And, because I'd like to do instead of talk about, because it drives me crazy, like being on a board. Everybody talks about what needs to be done, but they're not doing it. So that's me. I when you asked me to send you slides, I had to include this one. This painting was one of the last ones I did before I graduated in 1979 in art education from the University of Illinois. And I really wanted to be an art therapist, but back then, they're in physiology, they would make you kill a rat and dissect it. And I didn't have the stomach for it. And which is ironic because many years later I became an RN and I'm still an RN. So anyway, this painting that you see is quite large. It's probably 20 by 30, maybe a little larger than that. And it hangs in the home of my best friend up north near Chicago. And I gave it to her as a present, like when I was 20 something year old. Okay. And I did this painting. As I looked at this painting, sometimes I just do things and then I see what is revealed later. And that's very much the way I live spiritually, is staying present as much as I can. And then you reflect and you see what is. And also, I am not the only one looking. So people see other things. And I respect other people's point of view. I don't have to like it. I do have to respect it. What I find, and my girlfriend and I were talking about this painting maybe about 4 or 5 years ago when I took up painting again. And this particular one painting is mixed media. I've always loved mixed media. And because I don't like just one thing. And the other thing I don't like are oils because it takes too long to dry. So back in college, I did a lot of things with acrylics. When they were thin, they dried real easy. And I loved watercolor. I love because there's always something I can't control. And that's life. You cannot control life. And life doesn't have to control you either. You just have to work with different tools. And in reflection, you see how life plays out. And then you can adjust. So on this, you'll notice it's framed. And even before I framed it, if you look in the corners at the top, you see it sort of makes a frame by itself. You can see with the colors. And then I let the string fall and I painted the string and I brought out details. And there's actually another painting I did that I didn't necessarily like, so I ripped it up and I used it within this painting once again to say, hey, you can recycle what you don't like. It's, the expression, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not even sure when that expression came above, but I, Trudy, I just really like to recycle stuff and see the meaning in its recycling. So
You
that's all.
know,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to comment on something that you said, in that when you create with watercolor, how there really is no control. You just put it there and it does what it does because it's paint and water and fabric or canvas or paper. And then you make it work. And that's so typical of how we see life. Things happen, we create things, we do things, and then sometimes the results are surprise and we're elated, and sometimes the results are not so surprising and we aren't elated. And so I see that, and I have a question about this particular painting. You
Yes.
said you did it when you were 20 something in
Yes.
college, and you found this slide as we were getting ready to have this conversation. And can you scope out the big picture of maybe a little bit of where you were at 20 when you put this out there? And then when you saw it now, what might have popped for you?
Well, I have to tell you, I have seen it every time I go to my friend's house. So it's a constant reminder of, wow, I used to do stuff like this. And this is how I like, um, when I can't control things. This is sort of what I did in college. I did graduate, like I said, with a teaching degree. I was not mature enough to be in any institution. I knew I did not fit into institutional stuff. And so I wound up doing something completely else. And then, like I said, home care and a nurse. In painting, I can control the frame,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how I looked at this. And actually, when it hangs at my friend's house, she needed it to turn to the turn the upper right hand corner to the left, and it's better. And I love that you can do that with a lot of my paintings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The I control what I can control, and I have to go with the flow. Does that flow feel right to me? So I get to really focus in, sort of like, for me, a painting integrity. Does that feel right? And so back then, a lot of my paintings and a lot of my drawings, once I got into this, that you didn't have to draw the still life, every one of them had some sort of frame, not a wooden frame, but I drew a frame. Every one of them was drawn or painted intuitively, and every one of them had, I definitely don't remember the name of this painting, but a lot of them had funny paintings with a lot of words written on, like almost like sarcasm or jokes or this or that. And that's life. There's always commentary, right?
There is. And I see that in some of the others that you are ready to share with us. You want to take a little tour?
Yeah, let's.